Hello there, many thanks for joining us on Razem Africa this beautiful morning. As usual, I am really happy to be here, and Anyete Unyime is right by my side as usual again. Anyete, how was your day?
Well, the day has actually begun well, but yesterday went well and ended very well. Joy, it was a day that I didn't actually expect would be the way it went. Yesterday got very hot in the day.
If you're not going to give us this story, this speaking in Proverbs is not going to work.
Later in the day, in the evening, it became a little bit cool in the city of Abuja, and I hope that it continues today so that we can actually enjoy.
It's been really hot right here.
Yeah.
But as we always do here on Razem Africa show, we start with the African news update, and then we move on to have a very interesting story that we'll be having later on. The chances for the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, now that we have fragmented opposition, is this something that is an internal effect from, or influence or interference from the ruling APC? That conversation we'll have later, but for now we would go to the African news update. We begin in South Africa, where Rwanda and Botswana have signed 6 new cooperation agreements aimed at strengthening diplomatic and economic ties between the two countries. The deals cover key sectors including aviation, tourism, transport, agriculture, and education, as leaders from both nations pledge deeper cooperation and regional integration. Speaking during President Paul Kagame's visit, Botswana's President Dumo Boko described the partnership as one built on mutual learning and shared development goals. Kagame, on his part, said the agreements were designed to remove barriers to investment and create a more predictable environment for cooperation across Africa. From regional cooperation to political reforms in West Africa, Ivory Coast has announced plans to dissolve its electoral commission following years of criticism from opposition groups. The decision comes months after President Alassane Ouattara secured a controversial 4th term in office amid complaints over exclusion of major opposition figures. Government spokesperson Amadou Coulibaly said a new electoral mechanism would be discussed to help restore confidence in the voting process. Opposition leaders have long accused the Electoral Commission of lacking independence and are now calling for broader dialogue with civil society to rebuild trust ahead of future elections. Still on political development across the continent, Democratic Republic of Congo President Felix Tshisekedi says he would accept a 3rd term in office if Congolese people approve it through a referendum. His comments are likely to intensify debates over constitutional limits and political succession in the country. Tshisekedi also warned that the ongoing conflict in eastern Congo could force a postponement of elections scheduled for 2028. Fighting involving Rwanda-backed M23 rebels continue to destabilize the mineral-rich eastern provinces, raising concerns about security, governance, and democratic continuity. That security climate is also shaping events elsewhere in the Sahel, where Burkina Faso's military government has dissolved more than 200 associations in what observers describe as expanding crackdown on civil society. The affected groups were involved in sectors ranging from health, education, to women's rights and environmental advocacy. Since taking part in a 2022 coup, junta leader Ibrahim Traoré has tightened restrictions on civic organization, public freedom. Authorities accuse some group receiving foreign support of colluding with jihadists, while rights organizations say measures are aimed at silencing criticism of military rule. Elsewhere in the Horn of Africa, diplomatic tensions are escalating after Sudan recalled its ambassador to Ethiopia for consultations. The move follows fresh accusation between the two neighbors over alleged support for insurgent movement operating along their shared border. Sudanese officials claim drone attacks linked to the ongoing conflict are being launched from Ethiopian territory with support from the United Arab Emirates. Allegations both Ethiopia and the UAE deny. Addis Ababa has in turn accused Sudan of backing anti-Ethiopian armed groups, underscoring the growing strain in relations between the two countries. And finally, in North Africa, a Tunisian court has sentenced former Justice Minister Noureddine Biri to 20 years in prison over alleged link to the issuing of passports and citizenship documents to foreign nationals wanted in terrorism-related cases. Biri, a senior member of the opposition Ennahda movement, denies the charges and describes the case as politically motivated. The ruling comes amid mounting criticism from rights groups who say Tunisia is witnessing a growing crackdown on dissent under President Kais Saied. That's it for the African News Update this morning. We go for a short break. When we return, we get to the conversation at hand. Stay with us. We will be right back. This is RAZEP Africa.
Welcome to RAZEP Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on RAZEP Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Sorry,
Welcome back from that short break. As fresh developments continue to reshape the opposition camp in Nigeria's political landscape, the recent exit of Peter Obi from the ADC coalition arrangement has once again raised serious questions about the viability of opposition unity, coalition politics, and whether Nigeria is heading towards another fragmented presidential contest. For many political observers, the opposition's inability to sustain a common front may significantly strengthen President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's re-election chances, especially as the ruling APC continues to consolidate through strategic alliances, defections, and institutional influence. But beyond the politics of personalities, Nigerians are asking deeper questions. Is there still room for credible opposition movement? Can coalition politics work in Nigeria's current political climate? Are development issues like the economy, insecurity, unemployment, inflation, and governance take backseat to political calculations? And ultimately, what would determine voter decision in 2027? Joining us this morning to discuss all of this is a political analyst, economic expert, and also a risk expert as well, who is also a political affairs commentator, Bosun Adeyeye. He would unpack the future of opposition politics, President Bola Tinubu's chances in 2027, and the wider implication for Nigeria's democracy. Welcome again to RAZEP Africa. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Bosun Adeyeye.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, my brother. Good morning.
Yes. So, I guess the first question, honestly, would just be this political landscape. What's the implication, this movement of opposition back and forth? We had thought that we will see a viable opposition come 2027 with the ADC coalition. However, this is where we are. Now, what do we still have room for credible opposition movement?
Okay. I believe that, if you could remember, 2 weeks ago or so, and I remember I mentioned it in passing again last week, that the reason why we have not seen much of drama within ADC was because of the distraction of INEC and INEC chairman issue with X account. That was a distraction for a few weeks.
Yes.
And immediately that was like appearing to disappear from the airwaves. We began to settle down for real issues. And, what we saw in Ibadan was the coming together of all opposition parties, trying to see how they can actually bring themselves on one platform to present a credible opposition by zeroing down to one person contesting against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. And right from Ibadan, or shortly after Ibadan, will I call it a coalition meeting or what? We began to hear stories like Peter Obi was not happy with that gathering.
Yes.
That he was not pleased with the whole idea. And before you know what was happening, we began to see that there was more rapprochement between him and Kwankwaso. And before you know what was happening, meetings began to happen between him or between them. That's Kwankwaso now, and which we call KO or OK now.
Exactly.
And before you know what was happening, we're hearing that Kwankwaso and his co-traveler, Peter Obi, might likely travel out of ADC to join another political party, which is in this place, Nigerian Democratic Congress. Somebody jocularly said, we are coming down, because it was African Democratic Congress before, now Nigerian Democratic Congress.
Exactly.
So we are coming home to ensure that the right thing is done. So, to put it straight, I know very well that Peter Obi does not have the patience.
He doesn't?
To wait and weather the storms. Not only patience, maybe the power or what it takes to wait, resolve issues, and move on. And if you want to doubt what I just said, I've said this before.
Yeah, I know you. I remember vividly that you said it before.
His friend and colleague that they had the same ticket on the platform of Labour Party in just last election came out 2 days ago to say, I don't like saying this, but I have to say it because it's the truth.
Right.
That my SY principal, Peter Obi, kept on complaining that wherever there is issue, he walks away. That whether it's in private or public life, whenever he encounters issues, he likes to walk away from those issues. And he said there will always be issues, particularly
Absolutely.
if you want to play in Nigerian politics anywhere, there will always be issues. And if all you say or you do when there are issues is that you disappear from the scene, you look for a saner or more peaceful environment where you can be handed what you want on a platter of gold, which is very rare. It is very, very rare that any viable political platform will be a place where there will be no rancor or where there will be no hanky-panky. All these things are part of politics.
Absolutely.
So they will throw it at you.
Absolutely.
You also show your political prowess.
But before you go ahead, I really want you to address something very important. Nigeria is a very diverse, sometimes complicated country. So my question is, what does that say of someone who wants to take charge of the hem of affairs of a country like Nigeria, where sometimes things are so complicated, we are from different regions, and of course problems and the waters are not always still?
I want to believe that that you mentioned now has always been part of us, right from pre-independence, post-independence till now. We are fragmented. We see things from the prisms of religion, ethnicity. If you look at Peter Obi, for example, all these consultations, and I'm not, if you have it in your archive, you can play it, is consultation visits. Always look at the people that follow him around. Can visit it to bust what I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I'm still not sure where you're coming from.
Except I didn't get what you are saying. You are talking about the plurality of our society and possibly how that affects or influence the way we play politics or something.
Yes, I'm just saying, okay, maybe I should rephrase it.
Okay, rephrase.
Now I'm talking about the person, Peter Obi,
yes,
who you have just alluded earlier, that he does not like where there are issues. And I'm saying, now, what does it say of a person of that kind of attitude? It's not particularly a bad thing. However, if you must rule a country as complex as Nigeria, you must be able to weather the storm. You must be able to bring peace. You must not shy away from issues like this. And I'm saying, what does it say of a candidate like him who wants to run in a complex country such as ours?
There is no two-way that is showing. It's just showing that he lacks capacity. You may disagree with me, but that's just it. I said it in last studio time that Buba Galadima was one of the closest friends of late Muhammadu Buhari, and he said it on AIT live program that Muhammadu Buhari did not know how to settle scores among his own children. That when they have issues among them, he could not even do. Not to talk of expecting him to call his ministers or people in his government to order. That is his nature. So, and that showed in the way he handled the country for 8 years. Why so many things that are unthinkable happen under his watch. I can say it and I can beat my chest that Buhari as a person was a man of integrity, so to say. He was a man that was not given to materialistic tendency, amassing wealth, but he lacked the capacity to check people working under him. In fact, he didn't know. But on those things, he didn't know that it was happening under his watch. However, if you come to Peter Obi, you said it may not necessarily be a negative attribute, but I'm saying it is a negative attribute.
For leadership, maybe.
For somebody who wants to seek the position of the president of Nigeria. You just said it that Nigeria is a nation of different tendencies. And for you to be able to administer these different tendencies that come from religion, from regional enclaves and all that, you must be a man that holds your own. You may like him, you may hate him. The fact remains that in the last 3 years, the fear of Tinubu is the beginning of wisdom. Really? Among the people that had ruled the country before, as bold as Obasanjo will be. Obasanjo has not written any letter in the last 3 years.
Is that particularly?
Just few weeks ago, Obasanjo was one of those people who welcomed Bola Tinubu in Abeokuta, and I was expecting when he was speaking to say certain things, but he didn't. You understand? The fact remains that your charisma, your personality will come with you to the office. So that is why the same office, different people will occupy it and they will have different results.
So do you think that
yes,
it is about the person of Tinubu, or it is about the fact that Obasanjo has just probably decided to become a private citizen just to stay on his own and concentrate and live his life?
Obasanjo is still talking. It's not as if he's not talking. But he has limited, how do I put it now? He's not as
vocal,
as ferocious as he used to be.
I'm beginning to think that.
You understand?
Yeah.
However, I don't want us to digress too much. We are talking about Peter Obi here. Peter Obi, for me, he needs to add that to his ability.
Mr. Bosho, why
yes.
is our problem Peter Obi? Why is our problem not...
You brought Peter Obi up.
Let's get it right. Let's get it right. Okay. So that we can actually put...
so if you mention another person, we'll discuss another person.
Yes, of course.
So you are the one who mentioned Peter Obi.
We are talking about Peter Obi. Okay. So let's put this straight so that we can actually have this right. And I know a lot of Nigerians are actually talking about Peter Obi moving from one party to another. And it is actually a big call for concern. Yes, I don't think as a person that Peter Obi moving from one party to another is a means to show that he cannot actually handle the problems of Nigeria if he becomes president of the country. I'm only thinking that he is a man who, because in one way or the other, he has not been a chieftain of a particular party over the time. So for him, problems is not a part of what he has to come settle to become president. Now, let us look at it like this. The man Atiku Abubakar, who has actually been a problem over the time, has come over and over again. And a man who has come to sit to say, okay, fine, I want to be president of Nigeria, hearing some filterings that the same Atiku Abubakar wants to become president again, wants to get the ticket, and of course you know that he will go extra miles to make sure that he gets the ticket of the party. Just the same way he did in 2023 elections and actually tore the PDP apart, has now moved with him to the ADC. And he is saying, I'm not going to fight this cause just because I don't want to do the certain things that will be done. Which is, if we have to mention it straight and plain, having to probably pay delegates to actually make him to become the man who will handle the ticket of the party.
That's still allegedly.
Okay, so now, let's get this straight. If I don't want to go into that battle, and I decide to move to a place where I can actually get my tickets in a more very sane and calm manner, does that make me incapable of handling the country?
I like your long
question.
just to justify what possibly you want to hear from me. But I want to tell you this free. Immediately, Peter Obi left as a governor of Anambra State. APGA was immersed in a lot of controversy over leadership. Instead of Peter Obi to assume the position of a father figure to resolve, I want to present you long history today. So the way you just speak only ADC, you are not being fair to this conversation. Okay. So instead of him to resolve the issue and stay back,
okay,
even when he had actually, we have it in public record, that there was a time that Peter Obi publicly swore that if he leave the party, I don't want to say the end of that statement, that something should happen to him, that he would not leave APGA. But not quite long after that time, he did not just leave APGA, he also disowned that platform completely, and he went to PDP. And from PDP, he ran almost the highest office of the land with same Atiku Abubakar. Why nobody can pick or blame Peter Obi for exercising his constitutionally guaranteed right to contest at any time and under any platform? One would justify the fact that he left PDP and went to Labour Party. And when he got to Labour Party, what did we see? We saw a movement, something that Nigeria has never seen before. Within few months that this man went to Labour Party, the young demography of Nigeria, not about region now, not about even religion, because you see people in the north, in the south, in the everywhere. I know a number of my younger brothers who were telling me to my face that we were old cargoes. Wow. That we didn't understand what that man was bringing to the table. Okay. So it was a serious movement, and that was justified during the election. The gap between Peter Obi and the person who later won was barely less than 3 million votes. That's to show how successful he was at that. So now, after election, things began to happen. And you would expect naturally that Peter Obi will sit down and resolve all the issues. No, Peter Obi did not do that. One of his hardest followers, who is also from his own part of the nation, Kenneth Okonkwo, has said it times and I've listened to him severally, that even in ADC, he will not support him. That the only reason why he will not be able to work against him is if the party, the collective wisdom of the whole party towards decide that it is Peter Obi, he will have no option. But for him to decide, he would rather support any other person than to support Peter Obi. That tells you about the credential of the person we are talking about. Sentiment apart. And why in ADC, when we will have tested his popularity for the first time, and I'm telling you because you quoted, you are talking about money to settle delegates and all that. It is now a public, before he left, that they zeroed down on direct primary. You don't need to settle anybody. But the fact remains that Peter Obi had done his mathematics, and where he has majority influence, possibly like the Southeast, how many members of the party do they have from that place? And looking across the nation, he had done the plus and minus and felt like, okay, this appearing like a lost battle. The best thing is for me to move out.
Mr. Bashir.
That is exactly what happened.
Mr. Bashir,
so for you to say,
let's get another thing here.
Okay.
Okay. So if in any way you are in agreement to the fact that somehow the zoning system has come to stay in Nigeria, where the North has their own time, 8 years, and then it comes and the South, 8 years, Southeast, 8 years, and all that zoning that has come to stay. Now, the president is of the Southeast, and you would agree with me that it would be said that let it also stay in this side for 8 years. And Obi is coming up, probably in a way to say, let's complete the 8 years. So if for any reason we have to run that 8 years, so Tinubu if for any reason Obi now becomes president, he wins, it will still, the zoning will still maintain that it is in the southeast for the 8 years. Okay, so why are we now having this tension with a northerner also coming out to, be fronted by the party in one word or other, that is now making these movements to be? And if for any reason this is actually happening like this, are you saying that we should continue and then probably also, thwart the entire zoning system that we have come to see in Nigeria over the years?
Okay, I will answer you straight. Politics is about planning. Politics is about forecasting. Politics is about being smart. If you listen to the response of ADC to Peter Obi, particularly Lawal, the former SGF, he said Peter Obi did not join them until very much later time. So what was he doing? He was calculating. What was he doing? I want to believe he was doing his home assignment. Because for you to leave a platform, as we speak today, Labour Party is more stable than both, ADC, even the one he just went to now. Because later now you begin to hear, say, now APC or government of the day that throws span in their this thing. It's not true. There is already issue with the NDC. They have legal issue as we speak. So if anything happens now, you will say, oh, because I remember when he was making his public statement after he was handed over the membership card, he was saying the people that are throwing troubles everywhere, they should not come here. That appears very petty.
No, he said members of the party should not go to court.
No, I'm saying he said that people who were causing trouble in everywhere and come here.
Yes, he also reiterated it.
So let me land on my thought.
Right.
Okay.
So the point I'm making is that rotational arrangement is not a constitutional matter. It's a convention. It is an unwritten custom that North will do 8 years and South will do 8 years. But you can attest to the fact that from 1999 to now, there was never a time when they say, oh, it is now the time of the South. I will not say another one that will contest. Even in 1999, when it was agreed that because of the death of late MK Abiola, only the Southwest people should contest. You still had other people. So what I'm saying in essence is that nobody will give, and if Peter Obi is still having that at the back of his mind, he should expunge it. Nobody will serve in power a la carte. He will fight for power. Even if he gets the NDC primary ticket tomorrow, for him to become the president of Nigeria, they were carrying it around that time that Tinubu said, run with it, fight for it, and do something. You may hate it, you may like it. That's the fact of power. Even in America, for Trump to win the last elections, we all knew what happened. We still remember what happened at the CCT Capitol.
Yeah.
You remember what happened?
Yes.
So this is the version of democracy. So what are we talking about?
We really must, just finish on your thoughts so that we can go break.
That Peter Obi needs to be real, be ready, and be a man for this thing that I see him as being serious about wanting to leave Nigeria. But if he must achieve this in his lifetime, he must come out of his shell and come out clean. This sanctimonious posture will not help him, because he keeps talking as if every other person is a devil, is the only saint among politicians in Nigeria. No, the fact remains that for you to be a politician in this our own environment today, there are many things you cannot run away from. He said he doesn't spend shishi. If we begin to torchlight even last elections, are you telling me Peter Obi did not spend money at all? He just needs to come to that realization that Nigerian politics as at today, if not, political parties should not be sending expression of interest from as high as 1 million. If we see that the just coming out,
that's another aspect to our
so
this that is just coming out from.
Exactly.
See how much they are selling. So what's different from between them and APC? No, we'll get
Gentlemen, let's go for a short break. It's beginning to be very interesting because we would have to go back to that conversation whether or not we have credible opposition come 2027. We'll be right back after this short break. This is RAZEP Africa. Welcome back from that very short break. Well, we have been discussing Nigeria's the current political climate, rather. I'm not sure why I'm biting my tongue this morning. We are discussing Nigeria's current political climate and the developing issues. We're talking about the chances of the president with this seemingly fragmented opposition right here, not to mention also the schism within political parties. And our guest this morning has been Bosun Adeyeye, who has been doing justice to the topic. Bringing it back now to this conversation, I would say, do you think, Mr. Adeyeye, that opposition will still point at the presidency, because it has seemed like everything is the All Progressive Congress that has caused it? Would you say there is a way these two can be, pointed to the APC as having caused this in some way? Is it even possible?
Well, if they continue to sing that song, they will sing it till January next year, when the general elections will be held, and the current president will be sworn in again by May next year. Because I have said that times without number, particularly on this show, that the problems with opposition in Nigeria are actually problems engineered by them and can be resolved by them. I remember I told you last time that I have an advice for ADC. Because that day was the day they're supposed to receive judgment from the Supreme Court. And I said, whichever way that judgment went, that the best way to resolve their issues was to go back to their own party and call those disgruntled members and resolve issues with them. Before somebody can come to throw something to your midst, you must have opened up the cracks.
Absolutely.
So if there are no cracks, there's no way anybody could enter. So, and as it is today, ADC is still having issues. In the next few weeks, we may likely hear another judgment from Federal High Court. However, I think 1 or 2 days before the Supreme Court decision, there was a Federal High Court order or judgment that said the suspended chairman should be reinstated, and their own tenure expires by May 13th or 14th. So meaning that whichever way it goes, whether it is the one led by Nafi Ubala or the one led by David Mark, the two of them are playing with. There is no, I don't see any way, except they can talk to one another and resolve the issues amicably by withdrawing those cases in court. Because some of these cases will still go again up to Supreme Court. So the best way, if they are serious to be on the ballot in 2027, is to ensure that they come back to themselves and resolve the issues amicably, and to have an opposition against Tinubu in 2027. I want to say this. What happened in Ibadan will have been the best alternative.
Right.
Where all the political parties will come together and say, we are presenting one person. But immediately after that program, I said it, that I don't see that happening. You know why? Tinubu today is the president of Nigeria. Right from 2007, when he left office, he never applied or what's the word now? He never contested any other position from 2007 till 2023.
His eyes have been on the
He
goal.
allowed things to happen even at his expense, sacrificing things for other people. And that is why when he went to Abeokuta, in that very popular declaration, Abeokuta Declaration, he said, it is my turn, Emi lo kan. He knows what he knew what he was talking about. So because he had waited, he knew that he needed to do a lot of sacrifices, and he had done it. So but many of the politicians parading themselves today as opposition, they don't have that patience, they don't have the what it takes to sacrifice. One of those things I knew from the beginning that will ruin ADC was the fact that their ambitions will ruin them, will sink them. It's still Peter Obi that was ready to let go his ambition for what's the name now, Amici, to pick the ticket, or is it Amici that's ready to let go? Peter Obi led delegation to Amici's house to say, I'm interested in this position. You know the response of Amici to him? I'm also interested.
Yes.
So we are equally interested. Nobody will sit anybody down. And they concluded by saying, let's go to the field. So situation where everyone is stuck to his gun to ensure that is the ticket bearer of the party. At the end of the day, it shows that if eventually Atiku wins this presidential ticket from ADC and it becomes the rallying point, I know a number of them will still leave the party or either not working for him because of personal interest. Until opposition in Nigeria gets to that juncture, when they can sacrifice personal interest and delay gratification, it is that time that we will be seriously ready to take on the government of the day. Because this guy in the saddle now is a master of opposition, whether you like him or you hate him. He only ported from AD to AC when there was infiltration by PDP agents that time,
yes,
under Obasanjo regime. But from AC, he transmitted to ACN, the same party. From ACN, joined alliances with others to form APC. He had remained consistent. So, and if those who want to take power away from him don't learn this from him, too bad.
Okay.
It's actually too bad.
Let's also, so that do not look as though it is only the ADC, the NDC, and the Labour Party in a way that are opposition parties today in Nigeria. It looks as though gradually we are actually forgetting about the PDP, you know, in the whole of our discussion today. And maybe we should go back there a little bit. Just yesterday, we saw a media pally, and a few hours later, the Kabiru-led yes, came up to write, and I think I'd love to just give a little bit of that write-up. It says, today Nigerians were treated to an unsolicited overdosage of political rascality, moral emptiness, crass opportunism, and post-loss trauma by Minister Nyesom Wike. And again, it is actually a concern for us Nigerians. And that's why I want to bring it to your table this morning, Mr. Bosho. Do we think the PDP has what it takes to even give an opposition in the upcoming?
It's not me, my brother. It is Nigeria. Nigeria doesn't take PDP serious again. So it's not about me. So those that matter as we speak politically today is ADC, if they are able to resolve their issues, and the new waves are being to NDC now. So there are other parties, but in every democracy in the world, particularly multi-party democracy like UK, US, and Nigeria, you always have different number of political parties, but you always have dominant ones. In Nigeria in 2023, it was 3 or 4. PDP, APC, NNPP and Labour Party. But 2027 is looking interesting. We cannot really say now. But one thing I can tell you for free is that PDP is not going to be a major threat, because the person who holds the truth of PDP has made it clear to us that they will not contest for the position of president. And if a party is not contesting for the highest office of the land, so I don't think that party can be seen to be a serious opposition party. That's one. Two is the fact that the two parties are not ready to settle. After judgment at the Supreme Court last week, you will expect that the two of them will come down and say, let's resolve these issues. But each of them is claiming the judgment before them. Now, we all knew that the judgment was 3 against 2. So the terminus Rakia, what was his name, side, they agreed that the judgment was against them. But at the same time, they were saying because a suspension of Sam Ayao was mentioned in the court, therefore, they had no moral standing to say they are the one representing the mainstream PDP.
Exactly.
However, as it is today, if I were any serious politician, I would not pitch my tent with any side of PDP. I would rather go to other political parties, including NDC and ADC of this world. No, ADC is not out of ADC is also out of it. But as we speak today, ADC and PDP, they are very close in attributes now, because they have too much legal tussles that are the way it is, except something magical or miraculous happens. I don't see them coming out of this legal quagmire that they just find themselves. So I think the other parties like NDC and a few other parties around can be a good party for any opposition person to go and try their luck. But PDP and ADC, they don't look. You can possibly PDP, you can try at the senatorial level, at the state level, and some other positions, but not at the federal level. According to the way they are playing now, I don't see anything happening.
So I had a conversation with someone from the ADC a couple of days ago as to whether or not Alhaji Atiku Abubakar would still run for presidency, and I listened. I think I got dizzy trying to understand the calculations that he made for zoning, justifying why, as a matter of fact, it is time for an Atiku to run. Do you believe Nigerians would disregard zoning and maybe focus on issues like inflation, economy, food prices, insecurity? Would that dominate it, and it would outweigh all what we often call inconsequential issues?
Nigeria is a peculiar country where those issues don't actually determine what happens. In other climes, even in some African countries here, including South Africa, Kenya, and Rwanda, issues determine who wins election. But in Nigeria, issues that concern all of us, they play the least roles in determining who rules us. But three things that determine who rules us: one, religion. You say a Muslim, you say a Christian. Two, where it comes from. That's ethnicity. Then the third one is money. Our politics is still riddled with spend spree. And Nigeria will not understand what Tinubu has been able to do to our polity. By removing indirect delegate system.
Right.
If you know how much delegate system come from politicians, after most primaries, particularly major party primaries, many people who participate in those delegate system, you see how much they make just because they were delegates to a primary of a party. But today, there is no need. Is either you do consensus, and consensus means that the stakeholders will come together and say, this is the person we are going for. Look at what happened in Lagos. In spite of all the grumblings and all that, when eventually the stakeholders doubled down and said it is Olufemi Hamzat, every other person succumbed, and they saved their money. The only money they have wasted is their money for expression of interest and what do you call it now? Nomination form. But what we have been used to before now is that people will campaign until the day of primary, and they will now need to settle delegates. You know what? One of those that happened during Buhari primary. As Atiku was planning, Tinubu was double planning. In fact, when delegates reached Lagos, they did it in such a way that Atiku camp did not know where most of those delegates were lodged. So they have smarted each other, and a lot of money was spent. But today in Nigeria, what we are seeing is that we are seeing the curtailing of that kind of money system. And if we can do more to the general election, it will be better. People like Peter Obi does not want to spend shitty, can now win election without breaking bank accounts. So for me, I think if I don't forget that
the article coming back and
Atiku,
the zoning issues.
Yes. As long as Atiku can work, as long as Atiku can move, in 2031 Atiku will still contest.
In 31, you mean?
I mean 2031.
Okay.
If Atiku is alive and can still work,
he would want
when
to.
the presidency will be gone back to the north, he will still contest. Because it is in his blood. If somebody has been contesting since 1992, until now he has not stopped contesting, he will keep doing it as long as he can muster energy to stand up and to read the speech.
But Mr. Bashir,
He will do that.
You have been on the hot seat, but let me make it hotter a little bit.
Okay.
With my thought about what you think.
My seat is not hot.
Let's have Tinubu in the APC,
Okay.
and then we have Atiku in the ADC, for
Yes.
instance, and then we have Peter Obi in the NDC in the upcoming elections.
Hypothetically speaking, by the way.
Okay, so yeah, of course. Who do you think would actually, most likely, if we say, let's keep elections on the ground to play and let's allow the votes to count? What is your thought about who becomes the next president?
You want to hear my honest opinion?
Sure, honest.
The fact that there is an unwritten convention of North-South will work against Atiku. But something work for Atiku. One of them is religion and the fact that many Northerners are disenchanted as we speak. They feel like, oh, Tinubu worked against us. Oh, Tinubu did not regard us like the former administration normally do. This is one president that had come and confronted the issues without knowing whose ox is God. So that could work for Atiku. But at the same time, for Peter Obi, I don't see Peter Obi, and I want to take this a record. Peter Obi will not get 6 points what he got last time. He will get less than that next election.
Okay.
Because if you listen, even if you follow social media, there are many people who are saying that he wouldn't get his support the way he got it last time. Because people are now beginning to see that it's not about your ambition or about Nigeria. But when it is about Nigeria and you are consistent about it, there should be some level of okay, let me leave Peter Obi.
30 seconds.
Right, we no longer have a lot of time.
Tinubu has all it takes, including a few things he has done right in this government. You cannot say he has not done anything. He has done a number of things that were properly done. There are a number of other things that work against him, but by and large, I see Tinubu winning next election.
Okay, that's your thoughts on 2027 and the battle for our political future. Thank you so much for being part of the program, Mr. Bosun Adeyeye. And that's it for Rise Up Africa. Unyime?
Yeah, Joy, it has been a very wonderful outing with Boshin.
Right.
Thank you very much, Joy, for also coming around today. And again, you look beautiful.
Thank you everyone for watching today's edition. Until next time when we come your way, do have yourself a beautiful rest of the day.